Hey Nate, how are you?
Yo, what's up, man?
Hey Nate, how are you? Oh, I have my thing on here.
Yeah, I'm hearing an echo.
Turn it off.
What was that?
Um, I was thinking, do you know, didn't you ask me the other day what I would, if I knew God was there and he would be in front of me and I know he's for real, if I would follow him, right? If I would worship him.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, yes, I would, because, why not? I don't have to worry about retirement. I will be going to heaven. It's a good deal. But I was thinking if that would actually work or if that's actually valid.
What
Because,
do you mean?
well, let's say God is in front of me, right? And I know for real, let's say it's the God of the Bible, just to make it simple. Like, because obviously I would have to know that that's actually that God, right? Would you agree?
I don't agree, but let's just say, for the sake of this hypothetical, you know which religion this God belongs to. Okay.
Okay. So that would mean that Jesus is for real. So to go to heaven, I have to follow his law. But I have to, I have to not question it. But do you think that would work because maybe I have to do something that the Bible tells me to do, and maybe I just do it, but I might still feel like it's not moral or I have some problem with it, even though the Bible would maybe allow it. Or let's say, the way it says in the Bible about how you would treat like um, you know, s- gay people or something like that. And let's say,
Mm-hmm.
we would have to kill them all because they're against God. And I would have to do that to get into heaven. But even if I would do it, I would still feel like it's wrong because, I don't know if you can just turn it off. And God
Yeah,
would know that. So would I
yeah.
be against God,
Good
even though I would
question.
still do it?
Well, I don't fully understand how that would work in Christianity. Um, but just to make sure we're on the same page, your question is, what if you had to do things that this religion required that you didn't totally agree with? Would that be you still going against God? Because even though you're acting as He wants you to, your heart and mind isn't fully in it. I I don't know how that would work in Christianity, man. I don't know if, because as far as I know, in Christianity is like, okay, I guess it wouldn't work because you would need to believe, right?
Yeah, well, you
I mean,
definitely believe
not.
because he's
Uh-huh.
for real. So you know at this
Okay.
point.
So
You
you
know
believe in
he's for
God, you believe in Jesus, you do what God tells you to, but you feel you have a hard heart about it. Like
Well, let me
you have a
put
but.
it like this.
Yeah.
Let's say I have a friend who's gay, and God says I would have to, kill him, stone him, whatever, because that's what he wants. And I might even do it, but still I would feel like regret, like that is the wrong thing. I wouldn't want to.
Okay.
And I would, in my mind, it's like thought police. In my mind, he would still know that I'm not fully with him. I'm just doing it to get into heaven, which
Okay.
would I still get in? Would you
To
still let me?
heaven? I don't think so.
Yeah, so then my answer will change then, I guess, because at least in this particular scenario, because I was under the understanding that you actually specifically said that I know that is a certain, or maybe that was Brett. I don't know. I don't want to say you did it necessarily.
Yeah, in the hypothetical I gave you, we don't know which god this religion belongs to. Because I was trying to point the fact that the rules, whatever religion applies on you, shouldn't matter when it comes to, determining whether or not you believe in a higher power, right? Um, be- you wanna add something?
No, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt at all. Like I was just
Okay.
thinking.
Because after you left, Meow and I kind of spoke about how all religions are retelling the same story. Fundamentally, at the core of it all religions are the same. What causes the differences among them are, cultural, tribal, differences in phenotype, genotype, differences in our appearances caused by the environments we live in, which are different from place to place. It's human beings that cause the differences because we all interpret God differently, even though we're basically saying the same things. Love your neighbors as you love yourself. A lot of our special days, religious days are the same. They all revolve around the same thing.
I would agree that it's us who are doing it. But in your specific scenario, it is the question. We wouldn't know there's a God, but we wouldn't know what religion he would be, to what we would have to follow. So we would just take the best parts from everything, right?
No, not the best parts. We would take the parts that have commonality and ignore the parts which have differences, because those differences are driven and created by men. That was the point I was trying to get across, that it shouldn't matter which religion it is, because religion is a social construct created by men. What should matter is, go ahead.
Sorry. Just so the God we are talking about here, we know that he exists, but we don't know what religion, because there's a lot of religions that existed in the world which are completely different to like the Abrahamic religions, because that's only one part of it. There were a lot of religions before that, and
true.
that maybe have completely different concepts of how things work. I mean, like we could even go into Greek mythology, with if we don't really know if it's Zeus or whoever, so we need to at least know that it's the Abrahamic God, though.
True, but if we go into Greek mythology, trust me, you will find thousands of similarities between Greek mythology and the Abrahamic gods. If you go into Mesopotamian mythology or religion, you will find similarities. If you look at Buddhism and Brahmanism, you will find similarities amongst those and similarities that they have with the Abrahamic religions. It doesn't matter which religion you look at, where in the world, they have a lot of commonalities.
But it's not only what they may have in common, but it's also how does that God affect you?
What do you mean?
Because, well, the question is, if there's a God, like, the end goal is to get into heaven, right? To have an afterlife, to be with God. And there are certain requirements, and we don't really know what those requirements are because he didn't tell us. So there's a lot of religions, and we just want to, just take the best things out, because, if it's one of those gods, there's a lot of instructions that we want to take out, but that still came from him. Unless we want to believe that everything that's written down is also written by man and God has nothing to do with it. Which means... Sorry.
No, go ahead. Sorry, man. I didn't.
No, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, God has nothing to do with what these books say, because whatever's in these books was written by man. Every single word in these books was written by a man trying to interpret the mind and nature of God. These are not God's words, not his laws. So to place reliance on these books fully on one specific book could lead you astray. The smartest thing to do would be to take all of these books, look at them, and use them to verify each other. If one book has the same principle that all the other different 5 books share, then it's wise and safe to say that this principle, I can place reliance on it, because everyone around the world that believes in God agrees on this. But I can't agree on this principle because only one religion has it and the others don't agree with it. So, I'm taking a big risk, a big gamble, saying that, what's said here is right and more accurate when compared to what the others say. So it's best to focus on the commonalities.
Do you think, so if everything would be written by man and God had no influence on it, then we technically don't know anything that God wants from us. Would you agree on that?
I totally agree. How could we know? How would
so we don't
how would a 2D image know the mind and nature of the person that painted?
But that would also mean that God wouldn't really affect us, right? So we don't even know if there's an afterlife because we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. There's no way to know. But
So
we have this belief, right?
well, but that belief comes from what man has written, right? And we don't know if any of this could be true because man has written it. It's not from God.
Very
So
true,
maybe
man.
there is, because in that case there might not even be a heaven.
Very true. It could be that God isn't real. It could be that heaven and hell don't exist. But that's why it's called belief. I'm sorry, not belief, but faith, blind faith. Belief without evidence, right? You believe God is real, even though there's no evidence to prove He's real. It's not the most rational and logical position to hold, but a lot of people hold that position. The majority of the world's population, even in the year 2020, is theistic in nature. People believe in a higher power, even though there's no proof of it. There's not been one single shred of evidence of God throughout the whole entire history of mankind, but we still hold on to that idea. You see what I'm saying? Most
I
scientists
totally get
are
it.
theists. Yeah.
No, I totally get it, but like, it's just the thing is that would technically mean we have no idea if or what kind of influence or that God could have onto us. If there's anything, maybe he's just there, maybe he doesn't interact, maybe he does. So we would live our lives, and technically nothing will change because it doesn't matter. We don't even know what it is that we should do. So it wouldn't really impact our life, right?
No,
Nothing
it
would
wouldn't.
change.
It wouldn't, and it doesn't. Your life is not impacted by believing or not believing in God, right? I mean, I think that's something you've said many times before. You don't believe, but your lack of belief has never impacted your life negatively. It was just a hypothetical to say. Initially, I wanted to know if God was real. Would that turn you into a believer? If He could prove to you that He was real, would you would you start to worship in His name? Yes, you would believe He's real, but would you worship and practice the things needed to become one that ascends into heaven after you die? Because there's some people that even if God proves He's real, they still wouldn't care. They'd still say, "Fuck you. I don't want to go to heaven. I'd rather go to hell." I don't care.
Depends what that God wants. I mean, just like in my example, like maybe there would be something that I cannot comply with, like, and even if I wanted to, like he wants to give me heaven, but I still have to go through everything. I might do something, I might still do it, but think it's wrong, and he knows, and maybe I don't get in. So it depends really on what God that would be. I mean, maybe I cannot do it, but I'm just thinking if he's really real, everything else doesn't matter anymore because I know for a fact he's real. So even my career, my job, my everything doesn't matter anymore. I just gonna follow the rules. I don't even bother about my retirement or anything because I know look, when I die. Fuck healthcare. God will take care of me. I just gonna die and be in heaven. That's like if I can follow his rules, and it's like the best retirement ever. I mean,
Okay.
if I knew for a fact, why wouldn't I do that? Because that's the shortcut to heaven, or just do what he wants.
Yes, but that is a very personal thing. I mean, that is your answer to that scenario. But there are people out there that would say, "Fuck God. I don't care if He's real. I'm not going to worship Him. I don't care about going to heaven. I don't care where I end up. I'm going to carry on living my life the way I live it."
I'm pretty
You
sure
know,
there will be people that say the value of their life they have right now more, and they completely reject it, even if he knows he's right. And I thought
yeah,
about that myself as well at one point, because there's a lot of, like, let's say the from as we understand the Old Testament, that type of God will appear, and like, not only that I would think that there's a lot of crazy stuff written in there, and that actually makes no sense whatsoever, from what we understand at least. I would, and like come down as Jesus to fix something that he created. It's just if I could question him, I don't know if he would take questions, but I thought it myself. But really, why bother? I mean, the afterlife sounds way better if it's for real.
okay, yeah. Well, there's some, yeah. Well, you are the people in the group that say, if God could prove He's real to me, I would then become religious or theistic. I would start to believe, right?
I would try.
You would make the honest attempt to change your life.
Well, sure, if he's for real, I mean, why wouldn't I? Because if I know he's real, and I know for a fact that I will have an afterlife, because the afterlife goes forever, right? I mean, I have those few years here on Earth, I just pass them, and then the good shit happens.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay. But there are some people that would say, God being real is not going to change the way I live my life. What if you were for example, what if you were a gay person? What if you were gay and you found out God was real? Are you going to stop being gay?
Well, maybe that's the thing, though, right? Just the same, like I would have problems with maybe some of the rules that I would have to follow, even though maybe I would try not to be gay, but maybe I can't. And if I can't, I might go against it, and then I can't help myself, and will end up in hell. There's nothing you can do about it, right?
Exactly. There's nothing you can yeah. So there's nothing you can do about it. So at the end of the day, God being real or God not being real shouldn't dictate how you live your life. It shouldn't just be a thing of I need proof to start living my life one way or another. And even if God did become real and did prove himself to you, it shouldn't matter which God it is. Some religions say being gay is wrong. Some religions have no problem or no opinion on whether you are gay or not. So it shouldn't matter which God, which religion this God belongs to, because religions are created by man. It's man's opinion. It's men that say being gay is wrong. God has never said that. No one has heard God say that. It's men that say it. So at the end of the day, you shouldn't focus on the differences and the opinions that men have. You should focus on the similarities, because the similarities are going to give you a better understanding of God.
Well,
it won't give you that good an
no, but that's
understanding.
the problem. Like I know, like I was following you so far, but at this point, it doesn't make sense, because you say that's how we get closer to God. But how would we know that whatever is written in there, even if we find all similarities that are perfect, how would we know we are any closer to God than we were before if we don't know anything about him?
Because we are working in unison now. So have you heard of pantheism?
Yeah, I am not 100% with it, but I heard of it.
Okay, so pantheism is the idea that God is the universe. He's not a separate
Yeah,
entity from us or from the
he's
universe,
everything
but he
also,
is the
right?
universe, right?
Yeah.
So let me try and give you an analogy now. Let's say we lived in a pantheistic type world, right? Where God is the universe. Existence is God, right? Let's equate the universe to the human body, to your body. So your body is God in its entirety. And the individual billions of cells that make up your body are individual pieces of consciousness. That's me, that's anti-ordinary, this, that, and the third person. When we disagree, when one cell in your body disagrees and chooses not to work and function with the other cells, what does that cell become?
Cancer.
Exactly. So the moment we start disagreeing and not working together, we become a cancer and
I
move away
agree.
from God.
I agree, but what does that have to do with God, though? Like, how do you bring that to God? Like that
Because
you
now
brought an
the moment,
analogy into the real life, from God into the real life here, but I don't really get the connection, because I totally agree with what you said, but we can't.
but you haven't let me finish saying what I was saying.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So when we choose not to work together, we become a cancer and we move further away from God, or we stop the body from progressing. So remember, the body is God, because God is the universe, looking at it from a pantheistic mindset. But if we start working together, the body functions better, the universe functions better, and we get closer to God. We get closer to understanding the nature and mind of God, because God is the universe, God is everything around us. But if we destroy what is around us, if we choose not to work together and we kill consciousness and life, we are killing God, right? Moving away from Him. But when we work together and create more, we move closer towards God. So you need to see God as existence around you, not as a something you can personify, something you can separate from everything else. We are all a part of God. And when we agree and work together, we are getting closer to God, But when we disagree, move away from God and become cancerous.
What does it mean to get closer to God?
It means to get closer with, all right, maybe the problem is I'm using the word God.
Well, I know,
Let's
but like you made an
substitute
analogy there.
God. Yeah, I made an analogy, but I keep on saying the word God, which I think throws in confusion. So instead of saying God, we're going to substitute the word God with universe and nature. Does
So
that
how
make
do
more sense?
well
So
how
when
do
we
we
work
get closer to
together,
that?
when we work together, we are able to develop things better. Science progresses. We gain a better understanding of the universe and the world around us, right?
Well, if that actually would be the case, I don't know, because I mean we came pretty far so till now, right? I mean, just think about the last 20 years from all the innovations we had. So we're not doing too
Because
bad.
yeah, because there's been more unity in the last 20 years. Globalization has become a thing now.
Oh
Nations
yeah,
are working
it's
together more. We have better
absolutely.
diplomacy, better understanding. Like we've kind of got rid of things like slavery. Women have rights now. That's why you see more progression because people are working together. Science is advancing, and we're understanding nature and the universe better, thus moving closer to nature, right?
How are we moving closer to nature? What does that mean? We're moving closer to nature
Well,
because
science is a tool created by man to understand nature, isn't it? If science advances, we have a better understanding of nature, don't we?
yeah, well, what we understand the natural world. Yeah,
Yes.
nature
If we have
as
a
in
if we have a
the
better
world.
understanding of the natural world, we can
We get closer to the natural
we
world.
get closer to the natural world. Exactly. If we
So
understand
the
the natural
closer
world, we
we get
understand
to each
God.
other, the better we understand each other and everything around us.
Exactly. And therefore,
I
the better we
absolutely agree.
understand God is,
But now where do we put God in there and why does he matter?
because God is nature.
Okay, so okay.
Does it make
I
sense
mean,
now?
we can if we just call God nature, then if that's your God, I agree that if that's the case, that would be right. But but that's quite a link we would have to find here now. How would we know that nature or is actually God?
Yeah, that's why I said you have to look at it from a pantheistic mindset, from the idea that God cannot be separated from us. That's why a lot
Yeah,
of
but
religions
how?
say these
Why can he
things.
not be separated from? Like in see in the religion itself, all of that makes sense. But how do we apply that to the real world that it actually matters?
Yeah,
In
but
that
religions come.
context, it does make sense. Yeah, that's true. But sorry, go
Okay,
ahead.
yeah, in that context, it makes sense. With religions, this context would never make sense because religions always separate God from us. With all religions, there's always a separation between the thing being worshipped and the worshipers. They are not a part of the thing that they worship. This thing is separate from. In some religions, there's an intermediary, there's a Jesus figure in between you and your God. All religions separate you from your God. And I think that's already the first mistake. Because once they separate you from your God, they can dictate to you how you should govern your relationship with God. And as I told you, I think it was yesterday or the day before, that doesn't sit well with me. I don't like it when a religion tells me how I should interact with my God. It's fine if they tell me how I should interact with the people around me, my fellow human beings, how I should hold myself within society. But the moment a book written by a man tells me how I should interact with God, when the person that wrote this book has never met God, doesn't really know who God is, that doesn't sit well with me.
Um, from from what I understand, you would believe that God wants us to be good, or let's just put it away. The better, like we just have to be good to each other, and everything, that means everything gets better, which I agree with. And God is just, God is everything. We would just believe God is maybe everything, or God is might be there or not. I just think it seems to be that God wouldn't really, it would be a bit of a useless God, like because he doesn't really influence my life at all. He just happens to be the one who created it all, but he has nothing to say in my life. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
but it would, because you are conflicting two ideas now. Because you are trying to say if God was separate from me, he would be useless in a world where God is nature.
Why is he important for me?
So remember now. Okay, but did you hear what I just said? You are
I did,
conflating
yes.
two ideas now. You are saying God would be useless because you have separated God, you have personified him.
No,
You
I
know, so
mean
he's
he has
separate.
no effect on me. It
How
doesn't make.
does if are you saying if God was nature in the universe, he would have no effect on you?
Yeah, you mean if? Yeah, he
How?
wouldn't.
Nature affects you every day.
Like,
How?
why do I need? Here's the thing, though. Like, because he doesn't have. Yeah, nature. Everything I see around me has an effect on me.
Yeah, the universe,
We say
all of
all
it
of that
affects.
is God, but
Hmm.
what I mean is that God, as a person or as all everything, has no influence on me. Only the everything around me. So it's not like I won't have any afterlife in there. I just have my life now. Everything around me affects me, and when I'm dead, I'm dead. So there you go. There's if that if that is God, then fine. I live my life as I always did. I don't really have to change anything. Because even if I get closer to him, what would it matter? What's the incentive? Why do I need to be closer to him?
It's a personal incentive. No one's forcing you to be closer to him. You know that. I mean, that gets back to the point that you just said. Whether you believe or don't, it doesn't matter, right? It wouldn't change your life believing that
It
God
doesn't
is
seem to,
real
because let's
or
say
not
you
real.
live no, I mean I agree to that everybody should like there are good values in there. I understand that. And we can find those good values. But let's say you live your life that way with all of those good values. And I don't give a shit. I just, I just want to do what I want to do.
Yeah, you live
That
life the
is
way
good.
you
I
want
only
to
have one
live.
life. So what's the difference between my life and how will that affect at the end of my life and your life?
At the end, once we die, I don't know. While you're alive, I think trying to live as an individual would have negative effects on you because people would not, if you are individualistic towards people, they're going to have a reciprocal mindset towards you. They're going to see that you don't want to be part of the community and they would shun you and exile you, and you would be living on the outskirts of society. You would be cancerous. Society wouldn't value you. You would be further away from nature, further away from the universe, further away from the people around you. What happens when you die, I don't know. I don't know if heaven or hell is real, man.
Why would
I
people
don't,
reject me? Sorry, I didn't understand.
because you're being an
Who would
individual,
reject me?
your community around you. If you would rather be an individual and not live together with others, you would rather say, fuck what you guys are doing. I'm going to do my own thing. I'm not going to change my life to be part of the community, to further society, to be closer to nature and things. I'm just going to do whatever I want to do. You're going to be cancerous. That's what happens with cancer cells. They say, fuck what you guys are doing. I don't want to help the heart pump body around, pump blood around the body. I'm just going to start doing my own thing. I'm going to grow and become malignant and, just fuck everything up for everybody.
I agree.
Yeah.
But
So remember, don't use the word God. We need to stop using the word God
okay, so then God
because
is
that's what
irrelevant.
the word God is irrelevant because the word God has connotations attached to it. It's something that's personified, separate from you,
Then
above you.
we should even not bring up God at all. We should just talk about everybody here on Earth.
Exactly. Everybody,
Yeah,
nature, the universe. We need to have a more pantheistic mindset towards these things because that is what we have evidence for.
but isn't that what humanism is about?
I'm not sure what humanism is because
It's
I think
basically
humanism
all the good
focuses
stuff
focuses
without the
on
religion.
on humans only though, because they're animals, they're plants. There's a lot more than just humans in existence. That's why I prefer pantheism as opposed to humans because I don't think
Is that
humanism
is
really.
that sorry? Because
Yes.
that's from what that's that what pantheism is. It, that sounds
Yeah, I would say I'm a pantheistic Muslim.
yeah,
So
that's
I pantheistic nature, but when it comes to my interactions with human beings, I follow a Muslim, the Islam of ethics. And
is that because of surroundings and
most likely, yeah, it's most likely my upbringing in the community I was raised in that determines which set of morals and codes which set of moral codes I would follow when interacting with other people.
But you also,
Yes.
so who do you talk?
When I pray,
Yeah.
I would like to think I'm talking to nature and the universe and everyone. I would like to think I'm talking to you when I pray. I'm talking to everybody, to
Sorry,
everything.
I probably didn't listen.
Yeah, I would like to think when I'm praying, I'm talking to everyone. When I say God, I am saying nature and the universe and existence.
Okay.
I'm not talking to one individual being separate from me. I'm talking to everything.
So why is it important for, like 3 times a day, pointing in a certain direction? If you do that, maybe even in a group with a lot of other people at the same time. Why is that important? Why can you not just do it at any time, just while you're walking around talking to God? Why do you need to have those rituals? Is that because
I do understand what you're trying to say. You know, why is it important to pray at a certain time? Why not pray whenever I want? Which is a fair question, and yeah, I guess it is a bit silly, but it doesn't matter, man. I can pray 3 times a day or 5 times a day. It's my choice when I want to do it. If I to do it in accordance with Islam.
Let's say you're by yourself, okay? You're at home and you want to make sure you're directed to Mecca.
I just pray.
Just for yourself.
No, I'll just close my eyes and meditate and think, you know, and pray.
So it's not necessarily important to be towards Mecca, right? So you don't really anything that's in the Quran.
No.
Basically when live the lifestyle.
When my custom prayer is accordance with Islam, I face Mecca. But if it's just a general prayer, you know, someone tells me some bad news, their dad and what, a quick 2-minute prayer for them and their family, you know, for the universe to watch over them. I feel then I don't need to necessarily do what the Quran says. But if I'm doing my, what's the word, obligatory prayers, the ones that I just do 3 times a day to ensure I do those every day, then yeah, I'll do the whole Mecca thing, you know?
You're by yourself?
Most of the time
because
it's the evening.
Sorry, maybe if you had.
Yeah, in the morning when my, you know, midday when I work, most of the people I work with aren't Muslims, and I'm going to find a empty boardroom and do my prayer. But you know, the evening prayer, I go and I enjoy my fellow Muslim.
Okay, so let's say during the day you're by yourself, you're just going to do the prayer and you face towards Mecca.
Yeah.
Does that has any meaning to you to face yourself to Mecca? I understand. Let's say you're in a mosque, of course, you're in a group, that's still you. Just in traditional, just something you happen to do, or do you bother too much about it, or?
Yes, I bother a lot about it. So let's say I'm alone, right? And it's midday. I have to do my midday prayer. Okay, I'm at the boardroom. You know, I found an empty boardroom in the office. I go there, lay down my mat. I do wudu. You know, clean up, make sure I'm clean before I pray, and I face Mecca.
Yeah.
This is important to me because I'm not the only one doing it. All Muslims within my time zone are facing the same place I'm facing to, and praying towards that same position, you know, putting a certain type of energy out into nature, out into the universe, right? And we're all doing it at the same time. So even though you keep on saying I'm praying alone, I'm not really praying alone, man.
What's up with that energy, though? That's interesting. Tell me more about that.
Well, I mean, it's, you know, we put out energy. I mean, that's something you can measure, you know, they're vibrations, frequencies you put out, you know. I'm not trying to go all
okay, let's me as a person, yes, but like through the praying, a certain wavelength through the praying is going out with a measure. I mean, you can measure all
Yes.
kinds of wavelengths, but like that when you pray that you can measure.
You can measure how you're feeling at that time, you know. But I would say when you are praying, more of a new. So let's say we were looking at
Neutral,
light
this is
and the
neutral wavelength.
yeah, we were looking at the electromagnetic spectrum, right? So you have your two opposites, blue shift, red shift. At blue shift, you have what is it, higher frequency.
So,
Yeah. I'm trying to here for the wavelength because light is a frequency that vibrates at a certain frequency, right?
Well, my it wouldn't be in or
it wouldn't. Yes, it's but by the analogy, blue shift, red shift. Blue shift, shorter wavelengths, shorter wavelengths, higher frequency. Red shift, wavelengths, lower frequency, right? So those are the two extremes. I'm not saying which one you would say is a good wavelength or a bad wavelength. And what you would want to do is be in the middle. You want a neutral wavelength, you know. Okay. So the idea is when you are praying, you calm yourself, relieve yourself of most emotions, and you are doing something that puts you in a calm state of mind. And when you the energy you are going to release out there, because you don't want to pray when you're angry, because you're gonna put out angry vibes. I'm not pseudoscience.
I take it this is pseudoscience because I don't think this is anything you can prove, measure, or is actually a thing. But I just take it for now.
Yeah.
Because we know that's you works, and I think you are actually more like somebody who's in nature, stuck in a mom shell.
Yeah, I mean, I know the way I use them is an orthodox. It's not something you hear every day. It being unique.
Well, it's
but
completely different.
Yeah, it's completely different. But I don't think it breaks any rules, though. Strictly within the confines of Islam, and I still think I'm worshiping a god / nature type. I don't think I'm breaking any rules or doing anything out of the ordinary. It's just unorthodox the way I've combined the things together.
So you live the Muslim lifestyle. You go by what's spoken, everything.
In accordance, or when it comes to my interactions with my fellow man, the moment the books try to tell me how to get my relationship with God, so when I first wrote a single book, any books has ever met God, what his true nature is. And closest thing we have to acting
I
understand.
Yeah. I understand what even it still didn't accept for a lot of it's for how like it's two factors really, because it seems to be like we don't have about